It's time for The Sequence on JUS News.
Good afternoon, I'm Luke Reevey. It's 2:45 and time for The Sequence on JUS News. Coming up on the programme...
Refugees are welcome here.
I think it's really important to stand up against racism.
Tensions rise at a refugee protest in Rotherham. A major discovery for a group of astronomers at the University of Sheffield.
But this thing was a really very fast event. Everyone in the control room was crowded around the monitor.
And the oldest football trophy in the world is valued at an astonishing £350,000.
I can honestly say there'll be no trips to Magaluf after proceeds a sale from the cup.
But first, the body of a woman has been found in the Woodhouse area of Sheffield. Multiple officers were called to a block of flats this morning following reports of a body. Now to the anti-immigration protests that took place outside a Holiday Inn in Rotherham this weekend, the hotel in Manvers where dozens of asylum seekers are staying. A far-right group was there along with an even larger counter-protest from refugee supporters. JUS News reporter Isabel Shaw was there.
Refugees are welcome here.
I'm standing outside of the Holiday Inn in Rotherham where dozens of refugees are being temporarily housed. On my left there are anti-immigration protesters waving the St George's flag, and to my right we have a much larger group of asylum supporters who you can hear chanting. Throughout the day, we have seen refugees inside the hotel waving and holding up thank you banners to the counter-protesters. The atmosphere is very charged with about 80 police officers managing the crowds, and there is a lot of animosity between these two groups.
There's already a bit of a feeling in this country at the moment that we're very much racist, very divided. You know, there's a lot more homophobia on the rise, there's a lot of racism on the rise, misogynism. You know, it's just going to get worse unless people stand up to it and say, no, it's not right. You know, we need everybody's welcome.
In these hotels, it's all men, and it's really intimidating walking about in dark, even tea time, when there's like gangs of 6 and 7 coming towards you, saying things to you, but obviously you don't know what they're saying.
I think it's really important to stand up against racism and to combat both the fascists and the government's very racist agenda regarding immigration and asylum.
Nationalist Alex Yerby, who tells me he's been dubbed the Hitler of Hull, says that helping refugees is a waste of taxpayers' money and that not enough is being done to support UK citizens.
While all this money is being spent to put them up in hotels, British people are going without, British people are suffering, British money is not being spent on British people.
Most of the counter-protesters that I've spoken to today say they've turned up to show the asylum seekers that they are welcome. Protester Rachel Owath says that South Yorkshire is normally a very welcoming place.
South Yorkshire as a whole it's got a very community feel. It always has. I remember people coming together for the miners' strikes, even though, you know, I was only a child then, but I can remember the community. And I just think that that's why we need to pull together now. You know, refugees are welcome here.
And the very latest on the story now, a man arrested on suspicion of obstructing a public highway at the protest has been released on bail. We'll keep you updated as the story progresses. Sheffield Hallam University has developed a fingertip sweat test to detect for breast cancer that can be done at home. It gives a precise diagnosis by measuring protein in the sweat. The discovery was made during a study with the police when they were collecting fingerprint information left at crime scenes. Thanks to Sheffield-based scientists, uncomfortable mammograms could now be a thing of the past. Sheffield's transgender community is calling for the government to honour the chosen name and gender of a trans girl found dead earlier this month. Vigils have taken place across the country, including in Sheffield, after 16-year-old Brianna Jay's body was discovered in a park in Cheshire. Speakers at a vigil in the Peace Gardens say the government could do more to respect her chosen gender identity. Olivia Mustafa was there.
Several hundred people have come together in Sheffield city centre to pay their respects to Brianna Jay. Apart from the sound of water from the fountains, it's eerily quiet here in Peace Gardens, where people are holding little candles and laying flowers in tribute. Concerns have been growing among the trans community that she'll be registered as a man on her official death certificate, which will also use her dead name, the name she used to have before she transitioned. Avery, one of the event's organisers, says the government has the power to change that.
You could send her to the grave as who she truly is. Currently she's going to be sent to the grave with her dead name and her biological gender on the records, and that's one of my worst nightmares, and I can imagine it was also one of hers.
Brianna's death comes amid a fierce culture war following the controversy of Scotland's gender recognition bill. For Avery, it's simple. The government must provide trans people with the support they need.
In a wider context, I want access to trans healthcare. I want to be able to change your gender easily in the UK. It's currently like a 5 to 7 year process, and that's discounting the fact you have to go for a full medical transition, and that's a 7 to 10 year waiting list to even get into the clinic.
2 15-year-olds have been charged with Brianna's murder. Police say there's no evidence it was a hate crime as investigations continue.
Sheffield City Council are planning to increase council tax by 4.99%. It comes as they attempt to balance their finances amidst significant financial pressure. In the studio with me now, I have James Greasley, who's been following the story. So, James, how significant an increase is this move?
Well, Luke, it will have differing effects depending on which council tax band a household comes under. The band system is based off of a house's valuation, size and location. If you're under band A, you will have a monthly increase of £5.50, whilst those under band D will see an increase of £8.50.
Why have the council chosen to potentially implement such a drastic increase, despite the ongoing cost of living crisis?
In short, the council blamed the government for forcing them into this move, following a decade of cuts. They in turn have a shortfall of £69 million to replace in the budget, and according to a report by the council, they'll be bankrupt in a few years without further funding cuts and tax rises. They've also stopped shy of increasing by 5% or more so as to avoid the need for a referendum.
And how have people responded to these plans?
Well, there hasn't been widespread protests, but it would be unsurprising if there was to be some pushback. Having failed with plans for Fargate Container Park, Sheffield locals can hardly be blamed for lack of trust in the council to widely use their tax returns.
Thank you, James. And now, when you think about rings in space, Saturn or Jupiter might come to mind. But scientists at the University of Sheffield have discovered a brand new ring in our solar system. The team made a discovery when they were tracking the shadow of a dwarf planet called Quaquar as it moved across the Earth's surface. They still don't know how it's possible for the planet to have a ring because the distance between it and Quaquar is so big. Professor Vic Dillon says the find was an unforgettable moment for the team.
It's extremely exciting at the telescope when the event occurred. It's hard to convey that because you don't normally get that when you're doing astronomy, and things happen quite slowly out there in the universe usually. But this thing was a really very fast event. Everyone in the control room was crowded around the monitor.
The South Yorkshire Climate Alliance are currently protesting on the steps of Sheffield Town Hall. They're trying to put pressure on the council to take action on climate change. Our reporter, Zoe Head-Thomas, is there now.
Standing and sitting on the steps of the town hall, I can see about a dozen silent protesters. Not a sound can be heard but the footsteps of passers-by and distant chatter. Protesters are holding banners reading "Protect our children's future," "Love life" and "Act on climate change." I spoke to the chairman of the South Yorkshire Climate Alliance, Jeff Cox, who told me not enough has been done since the council declared a climate emergency 4 years ago.
It should be a celebration of 4 years of decarbonisation, 4 years of nature recovery, 4 years of engaging with the citizens of the city, getting them on board and thinking about it positively in their own lives. But virtually nothing has happened. We've seen with COVID how the institutions of the state and the institutions of local authorities respond in a real emergency.
Protesters are handing out leaflets with everyday tips to protect the planet and are trying to put pressure on the council ahead of today's meeting.
A tree of remembrance for the children who've died in the Ukrainian war will be put up at the Winter Gardens this week, 1 year on from Putin's invasion. Visitors will be able to put up a resin angel in memory of those who've died. Anna Musienko, a Ukrainian lawyer and artist who fled the war back in April, hopes this project will reignite awareness of those suffering because of the war.
One day when I go to my college and sit in bus, I open a Telegram channel where there's news about Ukraine and statistic how much children died. So I cry all the time, and then I decide I must do it something.
A mural space is opening up in Walkley for artists to showcase their work in an effort to add more colour to the community. Brad McInerney, a local art enthusiast, says that wall art is a win-win situation for businesses and artists.
If they offer out their space as a legal street art spot, the more likely to get people come and take the time and do nice pieces. And it's beneficial for the businesses and stuff around because it adds a bit of vibrancy, it makes the area just look nice, like it's popping with colour.
And Sheffield-based DJing duo has had their event rated as the 9th best night out in the UK. Time Out magazine says they, quote, cultivate a vibe that manages to feel both laid back and fruity. The night takes place at Bal Fashions on Exchange Street. Apricot Ballroom DJ, Joy Lafrique, says it's come as a complete shock.
Yeah, it's a huge surprise. We've stuck pretty firmly to the concept that I was going to say before of like, we don't really promote too hard. You don't quite have the same appeal outside of your core network. So when that kind of then spreads out and resonates with people on like a much bigger kind of scale, it's a really amazing feeling, to be honest.
Now it's time for the sport with Aaron Fryer-Jones.
Just New Sport.
Thanks, Luke. A trophy belonging to non-league side Hallam FC has been valued at £350,000 on Friday. It's seen an impressive £250,000 increase in value over 9 years. The Udan Cup dates back to 1867 and is believed to be the oldest piece of silverware in football. Hallam FC chairman Richard Pillinger says the club won't be letting go of the cup anytime soon.
It's not for sale. We're mere custodians of the cup. It's not for sale, so the valuation is for insurance at $350,000. But we think if it went onto the open market, we think it would fetch considerably more. So I can honestly say there'll be no trips to Magaluf out of proceeds of sale from the cup.
The Sheffield Steelers narrowly grabbed a victory this Saturday, winning 1-0 against the Fife Flyers in the Elite Hockey League. The singular goal, scored unassisted by Brandon Whistle, secured the Steelers an extra 2 points, taking them to third spot in the league. Steelers goalkeeper Matthew Greenfield, who was man of the match, had this to say about the win.
Yeah, it went good. I mean, the guys played well. We did a good job defending, didn't give them a ton, and we were able to get the win, which is the most important thing. What comes with the job is just anytime the opposition ups their game, I got to try to up my game a bit, and I thought as a team we did really well defending. Like, a lot of guys were blocking shots, making my job real easy, so a lot of credit goes to those guys.
Sheffield United have helped to raise over £5,000 for Sheffield Hospital's charity and their prostate cancer research fund. The money has been generated from an auction of match-worn shirts, along with a raffle and a bucket collection. Next, the weather.
Thanks, Aaron.
Just News weather.
I'll leave you with the forecast. It's mostly cloudy skies with drizzly outbreaks and a chance of fog. Tonight, you can expect further light rain with lows of 5 degrees. That's all for now from us at Just News. There's more online at sheffieldwire.co.uk and at Sheffield Wire on social media. I'm Luke Reevey. Thanks.
Just News.